still doing webcams or not?
Huh?
Still doing face cam or not?
Yes.
Because if you see here, I got
Yeah.
I fought an evil lobotomist, and I won,
Hmm.
but he nicked me up a couple times.
Classic. I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah, it's a real problem fighting, evil lobotomists. Police won't do anything about him.
That's funny.
It's like, yeah, I'm like, nope, he's got a license.
There we go. So, to anyone watching the stream, my one viewer, it's probably you, isn't it? Moose.
I don't know.
Oh, well, fantastic. Well, hello, one viewer. Oh, great. It's doing the thing. Anyway, to my one viewer, why isn't it? There we go. To my one viewer, we're going to... Oh, what's going on, Jordy? The people whose resumes we're supposed to review aren't here. So that's fun. Big fan of that.
Well,
Love to see it.
I guess we can ping him.
Oh, I already did.
Times. Hold on, I might have one more lead.
Two people watching. Fantastic. Well, we will get started soon, I suppose.
Did Hapless hop in this server?
Well, there's Splendid Stable Octopus, so we can get going.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Right here.
Let's take a gander at this resume.
Love to see it.
So we'll wait for Splendid Stable Octopus to hop in the old chat, and then we can drag him down here and we can get going. So in the meantime, how you doing, Moose?
Oh, I got fucked up by an evil lobotomist, but I won. Get lobotomized.
I thought you were already lobotomized, knowing your political views.
Yes. My controversial stance is that the government should legalize non-consensual surgery.
Yeah, we figured. I figured you'd think something like that. I can't hear Moosieus, FYI. Yeah, I figured that one out. Took me a second. Thanks,
Hello.
Jordy, though. I know you're looking out. Appreciate it. Big respect. Everybody throw a pog in the chat for Jordy. I don't know how to throw a pog in the chat. How does that work?
Me neither. When they changed it, it's no longer the guy because I guess he said some stuff and got canceled. It's like a snake now.
Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It's
It was
literally
like
because
a
of the
whole-
face. Like, that's it. That's the only thing that matters.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lizard now. Which I'm certain there's some story behind that, but I'm not up on my Twitch
That's
floor.
really stupid. Yeah, I'm gonna find an OG pog and do it that way.
And they're splendid now.
There is Splendid now. Splendid, what's going on? You're live on the resume review stream. How you doing?
Oh, hey, I'm doing well. I just woke up. It's 8 a.m. in Korea right now.
8 a.m. in Korea. Korea.
Yeah.
I don't think we've reviewed a Korean resume yet. You may
Oh,
you may have to educate us on some of the cultural norms in Korea. You're looking at Korean jobs, right?
Well, I hope to get a remote job if possible, but, and possibly just get a job
Fantastic. Then
abroad.
we'll review your resume according to American standards. But no,
Yep.
this is that's very very interesting. We don't get a lot of people from Korea coming through. One thing, real quick, if you could make sure to speak directly into your microphone, you're a little bit quiet to us.
All right. Yep. What about now?
Yeah, that's much better. If you could do a little bit more.
What about now?
That was no change from the last one.
Really? I'm getting as close to the computer as I can right now.
He's all right. I mean, sounds okay on my end.
It's close, but it's not quite there. Don't worry about it. It's not so bad.
All right. Okay.
All right.
All right, so let's get it going. Jim Bob, certainly your real name.
Yep.
Jimbob@gmail.com. Phone dash number. That's an interesting one. So you just type in PHONE-NUMBER.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just anonymized. Yeah.
No, certainly I
Special.
understand that. Oh, yeah, that's right. You have
All
mandatory
right.
military service in Korea, don't you? I forgot about that.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
And if I recall, you were concerned about that being like a gap in your resume, right?
Yeah. So I
And
just need to put it there, and just hey, I was doing this. I was really busy.
yeah, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have that on your resume. I mean, if you live in a country or you're born in a country where they have that, it's not like, oh, well, what were you doing for these 2 years? Oh, you were in prison? You were doing drugs? It's like, oh, I was doing mandatory military service. It's like, okay, yeah, that's unimpeachable,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Either way, gaps in resumes aren't as detrimental in software as they are in a lot of other places. There's a lot of people
Yep.
who come to software later on, and there's a lot of people who take a break from software. If you work for a successful startup and get a whole bunch of money, and you decide to take a year off, 2 years off, 5 years off, no harm done
Oh.
usually.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's get going. Start with work experience. Company D, domain, real estate. Backend engineer
Yeah.
2, e-commerce team, full time. Tech
Oh wait,
users.
shit. Oh, that was a typo. Don't. That it should just be like just software engineer. Yeah.
Okay. Tech use Python, Fast API, PostgreSQL, Scalchemy, PyTest, Git plus GitHub. I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about listing off the tech used at the top of each one. I think it's an interesting idea, but I definitely wouldn't put Git and GitHub in there because that's like it's so basic that they'll find it strange that you keep mentioning it.
Yeah. Okay.
So mentioning that you're just proficient in Git will generally serve for that. Let's
yeah,
see.
have it centralized in one place. Have a skills section, which I don't see on this resume, but we'll get to that.
It's
So,
down there. Yeah.
Let's see. Improved engineering standards of a legacy Python plus Fast API product. Slowly working on a Kotlin Spring Boot rewrite. No need to say
Immediately.
slowly. Just say working.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
Yeah.
in the process of rewriting in Kotlin Spring Boot.
My immediate questions when I hear that improved engineering standards, what standards in a legacy Python Fast API product? What product, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what standards did you improve, and what product was it? Because when you say a Python application, that can mean anything from machine learning to e-commerce, all different kinds of stuff. So, let's see, implemented black and rough for standardized coding style. Okay, so
Yeah.
that shows like a little bit of DevOps. Implemented Alembic for automatic and recorded database migrations. What is Alembic? Is that particular to Python or is that a product?
It is particular to the Python ecosystem. It's something that we use to automatically generate database migrations and apply them during like deployment or whatever. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is like part of the SQL Alchemy ecosystem.
Kinda. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
And I'm not too familiar with Alembic, but is that a very opt-in choice? Was that a choice that you technically made yourself? You were like, oh, well, we have SQL Alchemy, but we have trouble with these migrations. We want a better solution, so we're going to implement Alembic. Or is that kind of the idiomatic and default thing for SQL Alchemy? You'll have to apologize. I'm not too up on Python stuff.
It is quite idiomatic. Yeah. But people don't naturally come up to it because it's literally a separate package. SQL Alchemy and Alembic, you need to like install them separately, and people coming into it, they only really know about, oh, I'll just use the ORM,
Sure.
yeah.
And let's see, implemented test code and testing conventions, increased test coverage from 10% to 70%. I like that.
That's very good.
That's very good. That's a hard metric. And you can never get testing up to 100%. Anytime someone says that they have 100% test coverage, I'm like,
Yeah, 100% test coverage is that's a smell because that means that you're actively trying to get test coverage to the detriment of anything else. 80 to 90% is usually good. 70% is fine. 50% is better than most code bases.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Let's see. Implemented continuous integration with GitHub Actions that checks linting and runs tests. Implemented
Yep.
domain-driven design, layered architecture in the code base. Solo
Yep.
developed improved real estate proposal feature, overhauled real estate CRUD. Implemented custom ORM wrapper on foreign key list database. Okay.
Yep.
Implemented.
It was, yeah, I knew that this would be quite odd, but I mean, the company, it was quite a legacy product. It was just rushed. It was really rushed, the product, and you know, there wasn't any of this when I came in, and I was almost, oh shit, should I leave this company? Like, this is such a red flag. So, but I just decided to fix everything. Yeah.
So
Really
you may
bad.
want to do a structure where instead of saying implemented, oh Jesus, there we go, and it's showing the right stuff on the stream. Okay, well at least that worked, and you guys can see it. So instead of doing implemented, you may want to do something like oh Jesus, I'm fucked up here. You might want to do something like so you were participating in a refactor. So you would say let's see. So you'd say like held key. Let's see. Not worked on. I don't like the worked on. You could say you were instrumental in the refactor of XYZ product and refactor of XYZ. And then you can do like bullet points of, added limbic for DB migrations. And then, you'd say increased test coverage from 10 to 70%, and just kind of lay it out there so you don't have that repeated block of the same word. It just looks a little weird.
Yeah.
And I would also say, so right now, this is like a significant, I would say, itemization of things that were done. Implemented black and rough for a standardized coding style. Okay, so if I'm a hiring manager, that maybe sounds good because I don't know what I'm looking for. If I'm reading this as a, developer or software engineer or product engineer, I kind of think like, okay, implementing black doesn't really take a whole lot of effort, right? You add the formatter and it's very opinionated. That's the whole selling point, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think you would have to necessarily get rid of it, but you would say that like you implemented black and rough for standardized coding style. The principal reason you do it is not to standardize the coding style. You do it to improve readability, right?
Yep.
And maybe make code reviews faster. I swear, one of the best features of Go is the fact that it has Go Fump built into the language.
Oh yeah,
so that there's no arguing in code reviews. It's like, yep, the despots have spoken.
Yeah, you have the standard, and anything that deviates from the standard is wrong.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, I honestly, I don't. If I'm an employer, I really don't care if you add a linter or a formatter to your code base. I wouldn't even put that on here. I think it just takes up space, and the way it kind of awkwardly goes on to a second page here. If you can get rid of just 2 or 3 things throughout the rest of the resume to get it tight on one page, I think that would help a little bit just to make it look a little more professional, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and try to, as much as you can, and it's different for everyone, go for like a narrative style, right? Tell a story.
Yep.
This is where you were. these were the problems, or these were the problems, and here's how you improved things. As
Yeah.
far as like going with black and rough for standardizing the coding style, adding like a pretty formatter or whatever, it's a good
Mhm.
thing to mention in pursuit of
Yeah.
having better continuous integration
Mhm.
distribution. And now
Yeah.
all these things right here too, were these things that you volunteered yourself to do?
Yeah.
Um,
It was after the first day that I got in and I started reading the code base. I could not sleep. Uh, like I only slept for like 3 hours because I was like panicking so much. Like, oh shit, what the fuck do I do? And yeah, I'm gonna fix all this. So that's what I did.
and
So if you were the one that did it, if you were the only one that did it,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't. Normally, I wouldn't want to word it as independently did this. I would say led the implementation on whatever it is. I led this project. Make it look
Yeah.
like you're, to prove leadership. And
Yeah.
it looks a lot better to an employer if you
Yeah.
if you were a leader on doing something than if
Yeah.
you went into a corner by yourself and did it. You're saying the
Yeah.
same thing, but one way sounds much better than the other.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, and it shows that you can say maybe if not taking leadership, you're taking agency,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You as not just a developer, but an employee are actively taking an interest in fixing stuff.
Yep.
I would say that there's kind of like two broad classes of developers. There's some developers who they are skilled,
Mhm.
absolutely, but they just kind of want to be told what to do every
Yeah.
day, right?
Yeah.
They don't really take any initiative out of someone asking them something to do. And then you have the other kind of developer where you look at a code base like this and you're like, yeah, I can't sleep. Like I have to fix this stuff. It is a compulsion. And
Yeah.
not every employer is going to look for that. Not every employer is going to consider that, but there are the ones that will. And I would say, hey, if that's the type of person you are, those are the type of people you want to network and get in with, because
Yeah.
that's where you'll succeed.
Yep. Gotcha. Yeah.
But I definitely play at the DevOps angle of
Yeah.
this in terms of telling
Yeah.
a story. And I assume, was any of this running on AWS or GCP or some cloud
Um,
provider?
I only touched the CI portion with GitHub Actions and none of the CD portions with AWS.
If you use
Yeah.
GitHub Actions is growing a lot in corporate environments and it's used all over the place in open source. I would definitely mention GitHub Actions if you used it at
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mm.
did mention it.
Oh, there it
Yeah.
is. I see.
Yep.
You have a lot listed here, and it's not super easy to parse through with that implemented everywhere. So I missed it looking through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Let's see. So, and then now, so one line down here as well. Solo developed improved real estate proposal feature, overhauled real estate CRUD.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to say
So,
redesigned real estate proposal feature.
I
well,
wouldn't say redesigned. It's like that was the POs and designers that
I
made the
understand.
design.
I see.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
explain a little bit. What did you do here? Because this sounds like it could either be really impressive or not at all impressive, right?
yeah.
And if someone's
Yeah,
reading your resume, you want it to sound impressive, right?
yeah,
You don't at any circumstance, you don't want it to be where someone can read a line and they can say, well, this could mean either they did something really cool or they're trying to like, fluff themselves up. You want it to be like, okay, absolutely, like they did this cool thing, they brought value to the table. So what yeah, tell us about that.
Um, to be honest, it's like half half. Half half fluffing myself up and like half like
Well,
um
forget all about that. What did you
yeah.
do? What was the feature, and why did you implement it? How did you identify the problem? Tell me the whole story.
Okay.
Your target
So
audience.
the legacy product, it was just it was quite a spaghetti mess of a code, and
Mhm.
all the other engineers were busy trying to implement Kotlin and Spring, and I was literally the only person able to do it. So, um, yeah, I just dived into an unfamiliar code base. I read through everything. I listened to all of the new implementations that the POs and designer wanted, and it was uh, just, I guess, by the sheer volume of work, just a lot, uh, and all the APIs that we needed, which were quite several. I just literally did all of it. Yeah, all of the real estate proposal stuff. I just did everything with all the, I did it right. I did it the right way instead of just doing it, just quickly and just getting it done out of the way. That was the, improved real estate proposal feature. Just, making overall the feature, improved and just making the code base also improved.
So
That
what
was
you
all.
did is you led the refactor of the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
end of the real estate proposal feature.
yeah, yeah.
That's how I would word it if I was you.
Okay, okay, yeah, sure.
And everything you just said right there, like overcoming the crufty code, providing what I guess what I would call sunset support, on a product that people are actively using, these challenges that you overcame, everything that you just said to us, that
Uh-huh,
is what you want to capture and get
uh-huh,
onto the resume. Because right
uh-huh.
now, that one line doesn't really speak to any of that. And
Yeah,
that's tremendous work you've done. And you deserve all the credit for it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's tough to not say too much. I
yeah.
suppose I would lean on saying a little bit less than what that Moose is suggesting here. So it's just different
Mm-hmm.
approaches of going about it. One of these
Uh-huh.
days, Moosieus and I will review each other's resumes, and we'll really get into
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
But
So
yeah,
if we had to rewrite like one line of
Yeah.
this, maybe two, Nate.
Yeah.
Let's see, what would we say?
I think
Um,
I would personally change that solo developed improved real estate proposal feature, overhauled real estate crud. I don't like the overhauled real estate crud because depending on how you read that, it could look like you're talking shit about your last employer or your current employer, which just isn't
Yeah.
a nice. That's just that's bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then instead of solo developed, it makes it sound like you just went off on your own. And even if you did,
Yeah.
you led the refactor. You didn't solo develop it. Just it makes it seem like you're a leader and you are in charge of it, as opposed to something that nobody knows about, and then you happen to get right.
Yeah. Okay.
I I would say from the sounds of it, um, I okay, I have another question. I'll ask that in a second. But I would say that from reading this, from listening to you, you led a DevOps overhaul of
Yeah.
this entire
Ooh.
product. You think that's a
Yay.
reach? Is that
Mm, uh,
wait?
if you look at it from like completely third person like outside perspective, then I guess it kind of makes sense.
Fantastic.
Um,
And that's
yeah.
what you go
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
not lying and it sounds
Yeah.
really good, that's what you put in
Yeah.
there. Don't lie,
Okay.
but you're allowed to fluff yourself up and sound as good as possible. That's
It's not
Yeah.
lying.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's not.
I mean, top to
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah,
You implemented a
fantastic.
code formatter. You got
Mhm.
the migration sorted out that weren't before. You got the testing, done. You improved the integration. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on top of that, this goes
Mm.
less into the DevOps stuff. But yeah, like you said, you looked at the DevOps situation of this whole, thing, and you're like, yeah, yeah, no way, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that we can continue with this. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the picture that I'm getting is that you
Okay.
led a
Mhm.
DevOps overhaul, truly.
Okay.
And
Okay.
how much were you also because everything that you've talked about here, just bullet to bullet, is all talking about the Python and Fast API stuff. But how much did you work on the Kotlin and um, Spring Boot rewrite of this?
Um, it's something I'm working on right now, so I didn't put any of it in bullet points. So, um, it's because I'm still working here. Yeah. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah. If anything materializes, I was going to put it here. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're actively working on
Yeah.
the Kotlin and Spring Boot side of stuff. Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
I wouldn't
But the current bullet points all relate to Python.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't want to put in something half-baked.
Well, if you have Kotlin Spring Boot and don't mention anything to do with the Spring Boot, then I would just remove that portion of the line until you have at least a bullet point or something to talk about it.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Yep.
overall in this first thing, I think using the overhauled the CI for
Yeah.
the product, I think that's very good, and you can probably take about 3 of those bullet points away. Again, I like
Yep.
to do minimal, and then replace the solo develop thing with saying you led the refactor, and then a couple more bullet points there. This looks like it's a little bit too dense for a section to my eye.
Yep. Yep.
So let's move to the rest. We'll probably be able to go a lot faster through the rest of this since it's much less important the older the job is.
Yep.
So backend engineer 2, e-commerce team full time, tech use, Python, Fast API, Postgres, SQL Alchemy,
Yep.
GitHub, and we already talked about that. You should probably have.
Yep.
Oh, you do have a tech package at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's people, I don't know. I just found that, when people were reading resumes, they weren't, immediately familiar with what job used what tech.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So I just put it there for convenience.
Yeah.
But if you don't think
What I usually do is I just incorporate the tech into the bullet point itself. So if
Yeah.
I said, implemented features, discount, whatever, blah blah blah, I would say, wrote features such as or wrote features, discount, inquiry, wish list, subscription in the Python Fast API code base or something. So
Yeah.
you can kind of work it in. Then what a lot of people do is they'll bold the specific technologies that they're using inside the paragraph. That way, somebody can just scan through and just kind of quickly pick out which technologies were used at which job.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So let's see. Implement features is discount, inquiry, wish list, subscription. Of the 4 features, the discount feature was used heavily every day to drive sales to contribute to whatever.
Metric. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little wordy. You have a list of features, and then you say of the 4 features, which isn't really necessary. It's just kind of a linking sentence that you would put if you were writing prose, but you probably wouldn't put it in a resume, which is meant to be kind of just much faster little bits. The discount feature was heavily used to drive sales. I don't know. Maybe I'd separate that out to its own bullet point.
Sure.
Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know.
You could also reverse the I don't know what to call it, the justification here. You could say that you lead with the value add, right? That you drove this number of sales every day by implementing this feature, right?
Yep.
Implemented layered architecture, 20% test coverages. So a lot of these bullet points too, I'm seeing they go into very technical stuff,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Although I'd maybe be a little bit less specific. But what I really like about this portion right here is that you worked with 2 other developers and contributed to launching, to 4 marketplaces. So since we're maybe a little short of time, I would definitely expound on that, right? Like, how did you work with these, other developers? What was the interactions like with them? Like, did you lead them? Were
Uh-huh.
you working kind of collaboratively? Like looking eye to
Yeah.
eye, or but yeah, the social aspect in communicating, that's like a huge part of programming. It's like 90%,
Sure.
of the job is
Yeah.
okay. Like when you've been programming for so long, it's like, yeah, I know how to get X thing done, but
Yeah.
now it's like trying to nail down what the requirements are oftentimes.
Yep. Okay. I'll put that in.
Certainly. So the one thing I'm going to say is that's a lot of words in there. These bullet
Yes,
points are going onto a
words.
second line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just painful. I'm not going to read it because
Sure.
it's a lot.
Yeah. So I was thinking you saw like the first section and the second section. If I should be like concise and like make the reader confused. Like, what does he really mean by that? Or should I just make it just more verbose so that people can actually read it
I
and
will
figure out
pull
what's
mine
going on?
up just for reference.
Yeah, and also the arrows are not good prose. They're not
Yeah,
really prose at all.
yeah,
The stuff about the n+1 problem,
yeah,
mm, I wouldn't mention that
yeah.
only because anyone who knows what n+1 is,
Hmm.
um, the hiring managers aren't going to know what n+1 means, right? Or
Yeah,
that it's a thing. If I'm a developer and I'm reading this and I see, oh, I fixed n+1, it's not like, okay, you came in here and you did something really smart.
mhm.
It's that someone else did something really stupid,
Yeah,
which you administered an obvious fix to,
yeah.
which is maybe being that's putting it rather blunt, but that's kind of what that says to me.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I'm by no means trying to diminish your accomplishments, because it's hard to take like a bad, shitty code base and really, be able to run with it and improve it and
Yeah,
factor down the technical debt. But still, yeah,
yeah.
that. Nate, you were saying?
Yeah, so I was just going to show you what my resume looks like.
Yeah.
Moving it on the other side of the screen for the stream. That's if you're wondering why I did that. How one of the first things I'd say is if you put them side by side, you'll see mine is like clearly designed. Just dox my phone number again. I need to stop doing that. Anyway, nobody clipped that.
Yeah.
Anyway, first off, I used a LaTeX template. I always recommend this website, overleaf.com. Makes it very, very easy to generate this exact resume.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Overly.
so it takes a little bit of knowledge of LaTeX, but you'll be able to figure it out if you know how to program anything.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so then you can, with no design experience, you can have a nice resume in a good format. Looks a little squared off and very, very rigid. Um,
Yeah.
you'll notice all of my bullet points are fairly short. I don't really go into much detail on it and
Uh-huh.
try to keep everything as succinct as possible because I
Yeah.
know that when some hiring manager shows up, they're not gonna go through and want to read every single little thing. So I make it as easy as possible for them to do it. And
Yep.
I mean, of course, much like you have the most recent job at the top and everything.
Yep.
You may want to put in a what's it called? What's it called? An objective statement, just
Yeah.
saying who you are, right? I just say senior
Yep.
software engineer, which I need to update. But senior software engineer with a strong technical background in back-end system design, continuous integration, and system administration. It's not really saying much. Honestly, if I didn't think it was a necessary thing, I'd get rid of it. But
Yeah.
they like to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, like I said, the skills section. I know you have a skills section, but
Yeah.
I like to have on mine a number of years associated with each skill, just to
Yeah.
give sort of sort of a description of how good I am with it. Which
Yeah.
I
The
say 8 years on Python programming language and only 6 on Go, and I am infinitely better at Go than I am at Python. So this is kind of a little bit misleading, but
Did you
makes me look really good. 8 years in Python, wow.
include for the years of experience for each language only like the professional experience of yours?
It doesn't matter.
So
I from the first line I wrote to today, that's how I calculate it. So every year I have to come in here and
yeah.
add one more. The only one I don't do that with is Rego because I
Yeah.
don't want to write any more Rego. And this is a really dumb language that no one uses, but I keep it in here and I leave it at 1 year because I'm proud of my experience in it.
Okay.
I list fewer years of PHP experience on my resume because I really don't want to write any more PHP. Um, in terms of years, I do the same thing from when I started using the language to all the years that I really used, the language in earnest. If there was like a year I didn't really touch Python at all, then I don't, add that necessarily.
Okay.
But having those years of experience thing,
Yeah.
um, it's a bullshit metric, but
Yeah.
it is a heuristic that a lot of recruiters and hiring managers will look at. So it's
Okay.
kind of like it's like JavaScript. Everyone knows it sucks, but
You
just
have to do
kind of
it.
have to have it.
Yeah.
Also, the way that Nate did it on his formatting, where he says like language, years of experience, and then describes like briefly, what was done with it. I think that's a really good format.
Sure.
Also, want to touch real quick on your military service,
Yeah.
2017 to 2019.
Yeah.
If I scroll, can you scroll up real quick?
Oh yeah,
So
it was just between college and the first job.
It's
honestly,
yeah.
I don't know where to
Honestly, I
fit
wouldn't
that
even
in.
put the military service. I wouldn't put education either. BSc management. Eh, maybe
Just
maybe
like
later on, but for now, I wouldn't even worry about.
it's just to show, hey, he went to university. Hey, he did military service. Just like take the what's an HR box or something like that. Yeah.
If you because I know some applications they also ask for that. Let's see. What you could do is just do military service at the bottom of your experience
Mm-hmm.
and just don't say anything about it, right? Just be like military service, Korean Army, this year to this year, um, honorable discharge at rank sergeant, and that's it. It
Yeah.
really doesn't have to say anything more than that.
Yeah.
Um, I
I only.
guess you could also just forego it entirely, but if you really, if you feel more comfortable having that to explain the gap, then do
Sure.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the education and military service, it's really going to depend on what culture you're trying to target.
Yeah.
Korean culture is obviously very different from American culture, and even within American culture, startup culture versus corporate culture is very different. So if you're applying to an American larger corporation, that education might be important. They may have a requirement for a college degree, and
Yeah.
it's useful to have that. If you're applying to a startup, I wouldn't even put the education. I wouldn't put the military service. I would just leave it all business. And if you're applying to a Korean company, I think the military service is probably important. You don't want to look like you ducked your service. I don't know exactly how it works in Korea, but I assume that's a thing.
Yep. You're right.
Yeah. So it's going to depend. You may want to tailor it and have 3 or 4 just for, one for if
Yeah.
you're doing an American startup, one for doing if you're a European company, one for an American big company, one for a Korean company.
Yep. Yeah. I should do that.
Yeah, make sure to be aware of those cultural differences. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anything else, Moosieus?
Why the tables? The outline, I guess.
Oh, it's just I was for the ones that I do send out, I was gonna like make the tables, like the lines on the tables, invisible, so that it just looks nice and neat and just well structured.
Gotcha.
Something like
Okay, that's
Yeah, that makes a lot
formatting.
of sense.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right.
Because yeah.
So it's time to give the final review. Moosieus, what do you think?
We still going by the heaven or hell
Yeah,
scale?
the heaven or hell scale. Or wait a second. No, I never gave you an input on this one. This is just me deciding. I forgot. Yeah. So my final judgment. I'm gonna give you purgatory.
Okay.
It's not hell, so that's
Uh-huh.
good, but not
Yeah.
heaven either. And it's a lot of
Right.
words to read. My eyes are getting tired looking at this. That
Sure.
said, it's real easy to make your way into heaven from this.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I think you've done like tons of tremendous and wonderful stuff, and you have a lot of solid work experience, good social proof. So
Mhm.
it's just a matter of wordsmithing that.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
All right.
Well, thanks
Cool.
for thanks for coming in. Thanks for being a good sport. I will now unceremoniously drop you back into the Hangout chat.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for participating.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Deuces.
That was good.
That's a good start.
This is this guy's clearly a solid engineer. Just wrote a little bit too much in the resume, Nothing that can't be improved on. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
This is a warm up. Sometimes I wonder, like, if the best feedback we give, since we've only done this like 1 week before, but it's like when I don't know about you, but when I start, I'm like, okay, hang on, I've got to like get my mind into resume thinking mode. Takes a moment.
that's funny. I'm always ready to think. Doesn't matter what kind of thinking. Usually it's dumb, but I'm always ready for it. So then the next person we'll bring in is Coese. So I will drag Coese in here.
Are we gonna say it like that every time?
That's how I'm going to say it every time.
Coese.
Coese.
Can you hear me?
Yep. You're a little bit quiet,
Absolutely.
though.
Let me hear myself on stream. Give me a second.
Well, that's all right.
Hello?
Yep, quiet still. I'm just boosting people automatically when they show up because everyone's always too quiet. Speak a little bit more.
Yeah. Hello.
All right, the
1, 2,
boosting
3.
worked. You're good. Yeah, I'm just boosting everyone by default now. A little note.
Cool.
This goes over here now.
All right, so let's see. Did you build this in LaTeX?
Yes, I did.
Hell yeah, you
And
did. I could tell. Did you use Overleaf?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Also, my physics professor would grill you and tell you it's LaTeX. It's pronounced LaTeX.
It's
and-
LaTeX.
I don't know. He scarred me for a semester.
No, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. This is what's very important. LaTeX or LaTeX? All right, so I guess I'm hitting neither of the correct pronunciations. I don't care. The pronunciation needs to change to match what I say. That's all that matters.
You are arguing over potato and potato, okay? I can't even discern the difference.
No, it's LaTeX or LaTeX. It's where the emphasis is. If you LaTeX or LaTeX.
You lick my balls.
And I'm doing the emphasis in the wrong part, according to the experts. But who can trust the experts anyway? I don't care what the experts have to say. I'm right. Everyone else is wrong. Anyway, Coese.
Finally, someone who pronounced it correctly.
Yep, please. That's what you come here for. You know, we're sticklers for the details here at Resume Review.
Gotta say, formatting, wonderful. I love it already. This is pleasing to the eye. I like all the links along the top line. Maybe a bit noisy. Maybe
a lot of words here. Seems to be common this evening.
A lot of words, but I like the formatting.
Yeah.
Maybe go with sans serif if you want to be very wordy. That gets rid of like all the little I don't know what you call them, like hooks and stuff on the end of letters, and that can sometimes help make words look a little bit more airy, a bit easier to read.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go with a font that's a little bit more squared out like this one, as opposed to with the curly cues on the end of things, so this particular one wouldn't be so bad, but like the font you've used here is a little wild with it. Not crazy, but you could dial the serifs back a little bit, I think. So let's get into it. Right at the top, education, public state university. This makes sense if you're given that you're still a student. Once you graduate, I would recommend putting that a little bit lower down. But as a student with less real professional experience, it makes sense to put your university first.
The next position that you're looking for, Coese, is it going to be a full-time job, part-time job, or an internship? What are we targeting here?
An internship over the summer.
Gotcha.
Or a
Summer
co-op.
internships. Yeah, I think it's good to lead with education for internships.
Yeah, certainly.
So
let's see, relevant coursework. I guess I think if you're going for a bachelor of engineering in computer engineering, if you're going for one of those, I think it's pretty well understood that you will have taken these sorts of classes. So I probably wouldn't even put them in there. I would just stick with the activities and societies and the federal work study eligible. I'd get rid of that first bullet point personally. Activity in Societies, Computer Engineering Society, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, Robotics Club. That's all fine. Work study eligible. Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks pretty good.
And I agree with the coursework. It's kind of something that's implied, and it's a lot of words, a lot of real estate that maybe doesn't necessarily add a whole lot. I guess I'll say it depends on if you are going for like maybe a very specific job. Like if you're looking to do embedded stuff, right? Then a company that's doing embedded things is not necessarily going to hire someone that's done coursework that is mostly like general purpose programming, right? But
Yeah, and all this stuff is mostly just year one,
I've
year two type normal stuff. So
yeah, if
Mhm.
if you did some like really specialized coursework, um, when you're in like undergrad or graduate, courses, some of that is maybe worth mentioning more. But like data structures, object-oriented programming,
Mhm.
that's yeah, that'll be part of the course. Um,
Yeah, so let's move on to technical skills. You have way too many languages here. Whether or not these are you're good at all of these languages, I don't believe you. If I'm doing this, I'm kind of a jerk when I'm hiring people. So I would say, all right, this guy knows System Verilog. Let's see him write some System Verilog. I don't know what System Verilog is, but I want to know if you do. And
No,
it's FPGA.
yeah, okay. You have three variants of C. I would stick to either C++ or C sharp because C knowledge is kind of implied unless you're going for a really low level job. In which case, I'd just stick with C. Rust.
Can we actually do a little exercise here, Nate? If you
Mm.
can pull up a NeoVim terminal,
Yeah, sure.
because I want to go through these and figure out, Coese, how familiar are you with each? How are you most comfortable with them? Let's rank them from like, um, you know, 1 to 100 A to Z.
I
First,
okay.
What the hell is the
Let's see.
hashtag? There we go.
Probably I'll start with C. Then throw Rust.
okay.
Let's see. Probably Python then. Then LaTeX.
Well, LaTeX is
Don't worry
so
about it.
so
We'll get into the specifics later.
okay.
Okay. Let's see. I know for sure throw Lua at the bottom. Java above Lua. TypeScript right after Python. And then I throw assembly above Python.
Ooh.
So are you looking to get into low level jobs?
Yes, sir, embedded.
All right. If you're going embedded, then I would include these, and I would ignore all of these. Maybe I'd do C++. This is what my list would look like if I was you.
I'm assuming the first chunk, and not the second chunk.
Yep, just what I have right here. C, Rust, Assembly, Python, and C++. That's all I would put in. I would ignore all the others. I'd mention them if if you happen to solve a problem in one of them, or if you use them in your software engineering internship or something. But I would not go beyond this. 5 languages is already quite a bit for a what are you, second year student?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 5 languages is already quite a lot for a second year student, and I know a lot of these courses are probably taught in Java. So this is already hard enough to believe. So I wouldn't go anything beyond this at all.
I would say, so of the list right there, drop LaTeX, right? Because LaTeX is not a programming language. It's a markup language, as far as I know, right? Or Nate, you tell me.
Yeah, it's a markup language. It's
So
HTML but
that
better,
doesn't,
and for
yeah,
PDFs.
it doesn't really classify there then. Um, would you say that of all the languages you listed, C through Java, is there one or two that you're like, I touched this once or twice, but I'm not really, proficient with it. Like, you've kind of just had like a passing interaction with it, or would you say that you're familiar with all of them?
In that case, probably C++.
Hmm, gotcha. And you could definitely, I would say, mention Verilog as well, because if you're going into embedded stuff that's using a FPGA, then your options are like Verilog or VHDL, right?
Mhm.
Um,
And
and
no one wants to do it VHDL.
yeah, that's my understanding. Is everyone would want to do Verilog, but so what that really renders it down to is like, okay, if you did FPGA, you used Verilog, or you didn't do anything with FPGA, right? So yeah, um, I guess I wouldn't go as short on the list as maybe Nate's saying. I think you could still do a few more, but if you drop like LaTeX, if you dropped C++, since you're like, yeah, not really too familiar with it, that would be at least one or two steps more modest, and also more focused. But there'd be more discussion there. Developer tools, the next line, Docker, GitHub, Actions, and Git. Ansible, ooh, got some playbooks. Open computer vision. Oh, so tell us about that. What'd you do with computer vision?
Oh, it's going to come down here. We'll get to that.
Wanna Okay, yeah, because I'm seeing kind of like two through lines here so far in the technical skills. I'm seeing like low level stuff, Verilog, maybe some data science, computer vision, and then a lot of DevOps and web dev as well. So,
We have
but
front
yeah, we
end,
can go
back
through.
end, all sorts of stuff. I think this technical skills is unbelievable. Which is to say, I wouldn't believe it, and I would think that you merely touched most of these and don't really have any expertise in any of them. If you have a small handful of things in this list, it will kind of imply that you are more of an expert in those things. So this makes it look like you've done a tutorial every weekend for the last 2 years in each of these things, and you don't really have a whole lot of experience. So if you're looking for back-end jobs, I would cut the list of languages to mostly the back-end stuff, and then throw Python in there just so they know you know how to run with an operating system. The developer tools stuff, I would really only want to include Docker, Git, GitHub Actions, and maybe Robot Operating System. I wouldn't put in my editor, though I do mention it in every interview. Uh, OpenCV, you're probably already going to mention it down here someplace, right? Somewhere.
Yeah,
uh,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I'm not sure. Do you want to get to that now or later?
Well, we're working through it,
Yeah,
literally, I
I'll say
suppose.
real quick,
So
just based on the technical skills so
yeah.
far, I kind of I wouldn't be so presumptuous as you, Nate, but I would say that yeah, I kind of get that impression. I'm like, okay, you know, you've worn a lot of hats, but it sounds like maybe you've only had passing interactions or like a tutorial every weekend,
Mhm.
or maybe you have you're just well ventured, but let's see it. That it's gonna have to you know come out in the proof in the experience. So let's roll on to that.
Yeah. Oh, and then I don't. I'm conflicted on the interests. It's good to see that you're into this stuff, but I wouldn't put.
I think I would orient that around like the accomplishments, right? Like, okay, what have you made with an RTOS? That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But we can look at experience. I
And
feel
then
like
the
you've
front end section, no one cares, especially if you're looking for embedded jobs and back end jobs. This is all totally useless. And the back end portion, a lot of these, Hydrogen, SQL, Postgres, Fast API. I'd probably leave in Django, I guess. Getting a phone call from my dad. I don't know. I don't really care for the front end and back end sections. If you have a lot of experience in one or two of these things, so you can throw them in the languages or change languages to either like languages / frameworks or technical skills, which is already the top level heading.
I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking and I'm not letting you do enough talking, Quis. But of front end, React, Angular, Vue, would you say that there's one of those three or two of them that you're really familiar with and one not so much?
Yeah, probably React. Yeah.
I think get rid of
Most familiar
Angular and
with these?
Vue. Everyone uses React.
Yeah. If you nix like Angular and Vue, and I was working with Vue, I was trying to hire a developer, and I saw React, I'd be like, fuck it, close enough, right? They're all the same, more or less, component frameworks.
Yeah.
Front end people will skin me alive for that. Stay mad.
Jekyll and Hugo are the simplest tools in the universe to work with. I wouldn't put them on a resume. It makes it look like you think that I'd be impressed, and I'm offended that you think I'd be impressed by your use of Jekyll and Hugo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
feel
actually
you.
feel offended, but you get what I'm saying. As a hiring manager, that thought comes in.
Yeah. We'll roll on to experience.
Yeah, let's hop into experience. Software engineering intern, robotic startup. Accelerated the completion of firmware for a 4K USB camera in C by 5 months ahead of projected deadline, exceeding expectations and delivering exceptional results. Collaborated to create a seamless cross-platform Electron application from scratch to view and containerize H.264 UDP video streams and MP4 files using Million.js, React, TypeScript, WebRTC, and Go. Outperformed OBS and other competitors in video quality and resource consumption. Spearheaded the rewrite of a web application to create and configure camera streams using C++, UVC, TypeScript, Go, and React, which has gained 3.4K downloads on NPM. Analyzed code bases to create tailored CI/CD unit tests, saving the company 4+ hours of manual testing time. Created Ansible playbooks to automate the installation and configuration of Raspberry Pis, saving the company 12+ hours of manual setup. Contributed 60,000+ lines of code to created and established code bases via Git, GitHub, and SSH. That is a lot of work. That sounds like a whole career right here. Jesus.
Yeah, that's that's a lot for May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months.
Some might say
But
an unbelievable amount.
I'm gonna shut up, Kawis. I'm gonna let you speak for yourself.
So here's. I know it sounds unbelievable. I kind of want. I could. One of them is public. The others are proprietary. Just given the nature of them, I kind of want to send you the link, but I don't want to dox myself on the internet. I'll just send it on the server, and feel free to take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll look at it in the window. I'm not streaming, and we can figure this out.
Here's one of them. It's the UVC application I was sending. Like, if you look at the lines, it's just completely me calculating, like, based off insights. I go to the insights tab, I look at contributors, I look at, Kawiz. Kawiz has contributed 40,000 lines on this code base, plus. And there's 20,000 negative.
All right, let me move this window over for a second so it's not going out to the public. Let's take a look.
Yeah. So if you contributed 60,000, or if it's plus 40,000 minus 20,000, then that would be 40,000. Because if you modify a line, the way Git usually counts it is it subtracts one and adds one. So.
Okay. So it would be 20. Okay.
It would be, you said subtract 40, add 60?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me
20K lines of code. It's
okay.
It's a bit of an odd metric. I know Nate's taking a look at it,
Yeah, I'm
but
looking through these the changes that aren't Dependabot and just taking a look to see what's up.
Oh no,
okay.
I'm getting grilled on code quality now.
Yeah.
But okay,
Not necessarily.
let me tell you the rest of the story. So basically, I got hired as a web dev intern. The thing is, I hate web dev now. I've
You
I've done
should.
it for like I've done it for like 6 years now, and it's just I hate the bike shedding. I don't like how it's a new JavaScript framework a week, and stuff like that in Scratch is actually what almost led me to not programming at all.
That's
Is it's
interesting.
like it's redundant and it's like bike shedding to its extreme. It's like the Vim and Linux wars, but you take it up, you jack it up with roids, and then you feed it up with like some other drugs just for a good measure. But so I did web dev. I shipped 3 products this summer. One of them was the 2 of them were web dev. Like one of them was originally like the cross plat. So basically, their whole thing is they do underwater cameras for the because like their competitors are like basically stuck in the 90s. They're just shitty. Uh, they're shitty. They use USB. Their competitors use Ethernet cameras, and they use like aluminum, custom machine, custom designed. Lenses are custom. Everything's custom, and their competition uses like a security cam that's Ethernet, and they slap a shitty Pringles can housing on it. That's at best case it's like aluminum. At worst case it's like, oh, you get aluminum or plastic. So yeah, they're the real deal. So like I did web dev for them because it's 2 products. No, because they needed them done. So I was like, whatever. And it was really cool. Like they're really cool. And so being around cool people and like I've seen them like ship 3 different hardware products this summer. And like I've seen it design, and so like I don't know. That's probably why I've done a lot of it. No, but so basically, their cameras use H.264 encoding. That's not too unique, and basically that works. Do you want to know how it works?
Sure, yeah. Love to.
Basic, basically, there's a lot of math involved, but the summary is you take a base frame, you call it a P frame. I might be using the wrong terminology. You take a parent frame and you give it a number like some offset, like say 30, and basically the next 30 frames are calculated with respect to that frame. So that's why H.264 is used in video streaming. It's very efficient because you don't have to send the same the opposing approach is called MJPEG, where you just like send a complete video frame each frame every second. So like 30 frames per second, you send the
Right,
whole
right, right. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of explaining how H.264 works.
Yeah, so you
Less
do
Yeah,
you got a
value.
keyframe and then a series of diffs, and then
yeah,
this is interpreted.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And basically OBS is pretty bad with it for our camera, so we just rewrote one that product that we could sell. It's now currently being sold on the market. React. No, it uses React, Electron, cross-platform, has licensing. I didn't do licensing, so I didn't mention that.
And
So definitely link to the commercial product in your. I know you've redacted everything on this, but when you generate the PDF, link to the commercial product so that
Okay.
someone can look at it and click on it and see, oh shit, this guy worked on this actual product that's real and people use it.
Can
yeah,
you like add an annotation? I don't know. Can you annotate on stream? Like, where would you put it? Like, say if we call the product
I would
banana.
like for a 4K USB camera, I would this would be the link. 4K USB camera, right?
I would say,
Okay.
yeah, everything you just described is incredible. And it sounds, at least reading this to me, it sounds like you played a huge part in, helping them get this product live and stuff. Um, you did tons of work with it. And really, what is kind of cool to me is that you worked on stuff at a low level and a high level, right? Like saying, okay, we have this camera here, we have to get the encoding stuff, but then we have to get it into, a web browser that people can actually look at, right? Is that like a fair characterization, would you say? Or
Exactly. Yeah. it's
So
basically people. It's the whole convenience. Like I wouldn't. Anyone can like if anyone's given a sufficient amount of time, any developer could do this. It's a waste of R&D time for them.
hmm,
And the companies are B2, like they're targeting B2B, so it made sense. Like I don't know. Okay, yeah. Basically the computer vision stuff, I have experience with it over the summer. It's just I didn't one I didn't I ended up doing this stuff instead. So basically I used computer vision for stereo vision. I was like doing some R&D on that, read a couple of papers.
mhm.
So basically stereo vision is the computer implementation of how your eyes are able to give you a perception of distance. Like you have two cameras that are parallel, same plane. You calculate the offset of pixels between both, and you can get what's called a disparity. Use trig, and boom, now you have distance for a single pixel. And you do that for every single matrix,
Was
and
all the
that's
stuff that you used at this job?
yeah, no, like they're a camera company, so it was like it's their R&D stuff,
Okay,
and it was
so this you maybe didn't necessarily put all this computer vision features into the product that shipped, but you did the R&D for it, right?
oh wait,
Like
oh I'm talking about something completely different from the stuff I mentioned.
okay, okay.
No, it's just
Um,
because you asked earlier about computer vision, but
right. Well, okay, we'll put a pin in that and we'll come back to it. In terms of talking about this specific job, I would say um, talk about the specifics, right? The value adds. Everything that you just described with the cameras and stuff, building out a platform that is like super modern and beats out all the competition. That's all incredible stuff to talk about. You know, and you think that like, okay, our company's necessarily going to care about all that stuff. You know, they're not going to immediately care about what the other company is doing, if they're in a different industry. But you focus on the value add, right? And that's a huge part of it. And Nate, to kind of take a dig at you, if I can.
Watch it.
Um, hey, you can do low level stuff, but in the end of the day, people, you got to have a UI,
This isn't
right?
a dig. This is what I'm always telling people.
Exactly, but yeah. So up there in the technical skill section, which is right here, if I'm going by my plant, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's legit. It's legit.
I
You can
uh
look
I
it
don't know.
up.
I'd still not put as much there.
Yeah, yeah. Thin it down, but yeah.
Oh,
In terms of web dev too, yeah, you can't escape some of the churn. There's better parts of web dev like Go and Elixir. Anyway, but yeah.
so I highlighted in blue the parts where I would link to the relevant projects. One other thing I'd mention is when you say saving the company 4+ hours of manual testing time. So, I mean 4+ hours over the course of one day because no one cares. But if you save 4+ hours per release, that's not as concrete as it could be, but that makes sense. If you say 4+ hours per week, per day, per something, I think that makes a lot more sense because you know analyze the code base, create CI/CD tests, and save 4 hours. It's like, all right, well, how long did it take you to do that? You probably spent 20 hours doing that.
that's yeah, I can understand that. Okay.
Same thing with the saving the company 12+ hours of manual setup. It's like, great. How long does it take for you to write an Ansible playbook? Was this useful? So let's see what else we
Okay.
got. Lead software engineer, University Robotics Club. I
Hmm.
think that's funny. I get it if you led the team on the club, but saying intern and then the thing you did before that was lead software engineer. Someone's gonna get confused at that and think you mean lead software engineer at a company, and they're gonna go, "Why the fuck is this guy in school? Why is he an intern? What the fuck?
That's funny.
So you
but
just
that's true.
say so. If you what I would do is I would put robotics club at the on the big heading there, and then not have the subheading, and then in
Maybe put that under
the
projects.
you could I guess as a student you don't have a whole lot, so you kind of want to put it in the experience area. So I would just do University Robotics Club in the big heading, and then the subheading I would not say anything, and then in the dots I would put in currently serving as lead software engineer in this organization for the team, and then the rest of the stuff about the robotics club that you did.
Can you add annotations the same way you did with the highlighter?
I have no idea. I'm just using the Firefox.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah. I would say for the robotics club, since it's not really work experience, it is experience. And I think that you probably did some pretty interesting work, especially, working with like PID and stuff at a, hardware controller level. That's cool. But I would personally classify that under the like projects headline. You could also say projects and extracurriculars, right? If you were so inclined.
Actually, now I'm thinking of it. Yeah, Moose is right on this one. Definitely move that down to projects.
Okay.
Hold on. I gotta get a notepad. I'll tally it down later.
All right, curious.
I gotta keep score.
Full stack website. Oh, keeping score. Watch yourself. So are we going to start with 1 million on the board? Because I dragged you into this shit. All right. Full stack website development intern, nonprofit, worked with a bilingual team of 5 Spanish and English speakers to add features to a full site website using Vue, TypeScript, Bootstrap 4, PHP, and SQL used by 25,000 plus users. Neat. Create a performance dashboard for students and teachers looking to visualize and track students' progress throughout courses.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Worked with the.
How are you using Hugo? If it's a statically generated site, you can't just throw Go in there just because Hugo's written in Go. I'm sorry to let you down on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, for the portfolio site. The full stack website development intern. I love that. That is actually. I don't think I have any.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Actually. I mean that's great because you're talking exactly about the the business case, talking about the features, the technologies.
I would just say as a general thing is if you can try to split it up to multiple dots instead of just having 2 really big dots that go onto 2 lines. I don't like the dots that go onto the second line. That irks me a little bit because the dot's supposed to be real quick, like pa 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 pa. But if it's pa zzz, pa zzz, pa zzz, it's not the same. And then a pa zzz, zzz.
I love this onomatopoeia.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah, I get it.
Computer vision and we're gonna read a resume like that. Your resume sounds like buds. That's how we judge resumes now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pa 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 zzz, pa 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 zzz, pa 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 zzz, pa pa zzz, pa pa zzz, pa pa zzz, pa.
I implemented a software-based replica of the 6502 processor. All right, based. And NES with support for 56 instructions specified by BR65000 opcode matrix and graphics utilities. Okay, doing some programming.
Nerd.
Continuous delivery using GitHub Actions to build a project and publish a website upon releases.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Does that run in the browser? I see you say have WebAssembly, or is it just you do a WebAssembly backend wherever the hell it runs? That's
It's
really
just,
neat.
I gotta make it look good. Like the UI is garbage.
If you're looking for backend jobs or embedded jobs, no one cares what the UI looks like.
Yeah.
That's fair.
If you're looking for front end jobs, you need to have a good UI though. So yeah.
Yeah, in terms of broader career path, I'll say that I understand being burned out on web dev, especially with JavaScript and the way it is. Um, I'll just say it's not all like that. There are, in my opinion, better kind of islands of sanity in the space. I think that they're just kind of fewer and farther between.
I will throw out
Um,
a
I
oh, sorry.
I would say like I think Svelte in terms of front end frameworks is put together really well. I think that what they're doing with Svelte 5 is really cool. You don't have all this like crazy virtual DOM React stuff. Go obviously as far as the back end, it's still web dev, but it's back end web dev. It goes like very stable, very to the point. Um, and well, I could plug Elixir, but people rag on me for that. But
That's fine.
that's also in my opinion like one of the easiest ways to build a front end. Um, but yeah, I don't know. In terms of trying to escape web dev, I kind of feel like it tolls for everyone to a certain extent. But
So I'm going to throw in a
yeah,
dissenting opinion here. Back end programming, you make more money. How smart you are matters more, and you seem like a smart guy, so that benefits you. And it's not ridiculous with everything changing every 5 minutes. Stick to back end, more money, less work. You get more benefits for being smart. Why would you ever want to leave?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to side with Nate on this one. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
that's what I like to hear.
Just cause
Put me on the board, Moose. Where you at with the board?
Okay, 1-1, 1-1. We're tied.
just like I'm sorry that like even before he stated his case, I already made my mind.
Fantastic.
Just but hey, now that I hear that my opinion is correct and it's beneficial, I'm not gonna change it now. But like front end is cool. Like if I have I always see like just for the most part, this goes with web dev in general, but I just see it as a tool to do something. The like yeah, that's the but for embedded stuff, I just see it as like
Yeah.
cool. You're making stuff that actually changes the world and the environment, and it's not like devoid of any meaning or just abstract beyond function and
Okay.
need.
I agree with that. That's a good way to look at it. Web dev front end is a means to an end, to create an interface that's accessible online, right? Um, oh, okay, we're breaking out a scorecard here, huh?
Yeah, keep talking.
Points. So yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Like the embedded stuff, doing all the camera work, computer vision, that's like the real value drivers, right? In at least the positions that you've worked in, and I would say arguably in a lot of places, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you have these, UIs, yeah, you have, all this infrastructure and log collection, but the real value add, the means to the end is like the coordination that's being done, the data science that's being done, or the hardware level stuff that's going down. So yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And I do agree that sometimes people take sometimes all the fucking time people take front end way too far. Like, oh yes, this is the most important thing that we've ever done, and my JavaScript library is going to change the world. It's like, shut up, you're yak shaving. Just get it done. Like all of this, all these state management libraries are just masturbation. Um, except it's not even fun. It's just pain. Yeah. Anyway,
All right, so we've made it to the bottom. So now we have to decide what your final. And when I say we, I mean I'm deciding. I'm going to decide your final thing. I think I am going to say Purgatory Plus.
I would say Heaven won.
Oh, Purgatory Plus. I think it's just below the lowest heaven. I think if you clean this up a little bit, Get rid of some of the stuff that you don't actually know that well in the languages. Nuke this front end section. Clean out the back end section. It's just the little things. Lead software
maybe
engineer and the experience. Move this experience onto projects. Get rid of this. Just little. It's a whole bunch of little stuff that can get you into heaven. But I think you're in Purgatory Plus right now.
also there's Tailwind twice on the front end line. I just noticed that.
Well, he didn't say attention to detail anywhere, so we're good on that one.
If you wanted to, for front end, you could just cross out Angular and Vue, HTML, CSS. You could just say React, Tailwind, and
you can cross out the word front end, React, Angular, Vue, HTML, CSS, Tailwind, SASS, Bootstrap, Tailwind, Jekyll, Hugo, Sphinx, and Material UI. And I think that would be better for your career overall.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes people look for someone who can do a bit of both.
Honestly, that sounds pretty much what I've heard from so far. Because currently I've been going to the career fairs this past week at my school, and I stand apart when it comes to recruiters. But the thing is, I can't go from hey, I'm cracked to hey, can I get an interview next week? Because I know that's a thing. Because I know a couple of my buds have gotten interviews from people today and tomorrow, but I'm not there yet. Any advice?
That's going to be a lot of just knowing how to meet people where they are and talk to them. I have never found any success with job fairs, mostly because I studied in school. I studied for an industry that I have no interest in being in and never tried to enter. So it's a lot of just knowing how to do the interpersonal communication stuff, really.
Yeah, I don't have a degree, so
yeah. Luckily the standards are low in the computer science arena, so you don't have to be that charismatic, but charisma goes a long way.
I would say so. Yeah.
And honestly, the way to train that is to go out, talk to girls, make friends, join clubs that aren't the robotics team, and to do some non-nerdy stuff.
Okay.
I would just say, communicate with humility, take an interest in what people are saying. When you say that you're having trouble jumping the gap from going to career fairs and talking with people to landing an interview, where do you think you're falling short yourself? Or
actually, the last thing you said kind of resonates because what happened, the typical interaction is, hey, I pitch myself, it sounds good, then I show them my resume, they're impressed, then it kind of just falls off from there, and then they go to the next person. It could, because the way I approach it is a pragmatic standpoint, you're negotiating a deal,
Yeah, and
okay.
Nate,
That might be.
maybe you can speak to this a little bit, but sometimes, you are just that good, and maybe you make a pro gamer move, and you work maybe, or do you want to say it, or do you not want me to talk about that on stream? Is that?
Oh, the pro gamer move I did? I'll just caveat it by
the-
saying I am no longer doing any pro gamer moves. My current company knows too much about my pro gamer moves, or they'd find out if I was. So there's no real problem with saying it.
Oh yeah, you work 2 jobs at once.
Yeah.
Right? But then you can't say that.
Yeah, you can't tell anyone about working 2 jobs at once, and it looks bad on a resume because it's oh, this guy's disloyal. But I did it for some time, and then I decided to focus on one job, and I made the wrong choice because that one job went under a little while later. So I'm no longer doing the 2 jobs thing. I'm just trying to focus on being a manager at this point. But yeah, if you're really good and you find that you're not being challenged enough at work, and you're getting all your work done, and everyone's always impressed with what you're doing, if you get a second job and you still maintain that reputation, you've done nothing wrong. And if you're too good for the position you're at, which happens to a lot of people, that's something to consider. It's not allowed. They'll get mad at you if they find out. But hey, it's something to
Yeah.
consider. Don't do it for your first job, but wait until you're a little bit established and you're to the point where you can always find a job before you do it, because you might just end up, if they find out, then your boss is just phone call away from your other boss from you getting fired from both jobs if they decide to be mean about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is
That
a
makes
thing
sense.
for like 4 years from now or 5 years from now, not
And
right now.
the point I was driving at was like, yeah, you did that, and it's pretty amazing. There was someone else that we spoke to who did like a lot of really interesting malware work, but it's like, okay, you've done this impressive stuff, but you can't necessarily pitch it like that, right?
Yeah.
You have to kind of, artfully craft it in and be a little bit more modest.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that this resume is certainly more than workable. Yeah, nothing more.
All right, fantastic. Well, thanks for being a good sport. Thanks for coming on the stream. I appreciate it. I will be dumping you unceremoniously back into the Hangout channel.
Thank you.
So, Moose, you want to take a 30-second break to go get some water, and then we'll be back.
Yes.
All right. So we will be back in like 30 seconds. We have one more person coming up. Real quick. So we will be back. Sorry to make you sit here in silence, but yeah. And this is, there we go.
All right. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. We back? Oh. All right. How's the chat going? All right.
All right, and we're back.
We're back.
So we got someone who seems to be a new entrant to the stream community, or the community for this stream at least, and they are currently in the process of blocking out all the personal information from the resume. So they will be on in a short period of time.
All right. I guess we can just chat it up.
Yeah, So how you been? How you doing?
Doing good. I'm trying to bust my ass getting some Elixir code written. Trying to get it's in I'm working on a more well-known person's library, and I'm trying to get my stuff tested and proofed out to the point that I can actually get it to main, and then I can apply to jobs and say like, hey, by the way, I got my shit to main on this project. Some little bit of open source. Not
So
bad.
are you participating in Hacktoberfest?
No.
You got to be in Hacktoberfest. I'm participating in Hacktoberfest.
Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about just going to the guy and being like, hey, can you just throw this tag on there real quick
That's
so I can
funny.
get these like brownie points? But, I'll leave it.
Yeah, fair enough.
In terms of, yeah. So, I definitely get where Queese is coming from. One thing that I kind of really dodge on a lot of interviews and stuff, and I've like subtly scrubbed from my LinkedIn and from my resume, is how old I am.
Yeah.
Because I've been programming in work like for 8 fucking years, right?
Oh yeah,
Actually, yeah.
certainly.
I started January of 2016.
Yeah.
But when you tell people that, it's like, yeah, like I've been doing this for 8 years, and they're like, oh, but you're only this old. I'm like, yeah, you know, I was in high school. I would finish class. I would drive myself to work, and I would work for several hours, and I would get home very late, and then I would go to bed and get up for class and not have my homework done.
That's funny.
It's like, yes, yes, I absolutely did that.
I feel a similar way with my job. I'm I'm 26 years old. I'm going to turn 27 next February, and I'm in I lead a team. So next time I go find a job, I'm not going to mention my age at all. No one's going to know. I'm probably just going to have my resume mysteriously start when I started working, and not mention when I graduated college. Not mention anything that would give away how young I am, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck in the current position I'm in for probably 4 or 5 years just based on age alone and a new job.
Right. Welcome guests to the stream. It is my dog.
Fantastic.
Hello, Matcha.
So,
Say hi to all the people. She's like, what people?
all right. So we have the next person coming up here. I mean, the next person, because your dog was just there, and dogs are people. That's the official stance of the Nate stream. Anyway,
I'm
so
glad we got that hammered out.
yep. So we'll bring the next candidate in here.
Yeah, the next candidate in here.
Oh, we're getting a little back feed from the from watching the stream. No worries, I gave you very little warning.
Watching the stream, no worries. I gave you very little warning. Watching the stream, no worries. I gave you very little warning. Watching the stream, no worries. I gave you very little.
We might have to work out this.
Yeah, so you'll need to stop watching the stream, and then you can watch the stream in Discord, and the audio won't come through. It's echoing right now.
The audio won't come through.
You there?
Hi. Could you hear me?
Yep.
Good. Good. Yep.
Give me one quick. Give me one quick.
So what do you want us to call you? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
相依.
Shangyi. Okay.
Yeah. 相依.
So Shangyi, I can hear the stream echoing, so it sounds like you're playing the stream. So if you could if you could put in headphones or something, that'd really help out.
What about this? I'm so sorry. I'm like very new to streaming stuff.
Yeah, no worries. I totally understand.
Okay.
But I can't hear anything now, so this is good. Oh, it came back.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Well, he'll be
Getting the audio situation worked out real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Meanwhile, there you go. There's an audio test for you. Make sure everything's normalized.
Hello, you there?
My Discord has crashed.
Oh, that's no good.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So, welcome to the stream, Zhang Yi. That's it, right?
相依.
Okay.
Close.
Okay. I'll do my best. I can't make any promises here. I'm curious. How did you find the stream?
Oh, I'm from the Primogen channel.
Okay.
I've been okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, I just haven't. I don't recognize you from there. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So we'll just get started. So you see, you have the master's degree in computer science in San Jose, California, Bachelor of Engineering in computer science and engineering, programming paradigms, data structures, all this stuff. So the first thing I'd start out with is I wouldn't mention the core courses here.
Okay.
If you have a master's, it's going to be pretty apparent what you're good at, and the
Okay.
core courses especially from your undergraduate, it's not going to be super relevant. I mean, most of the same core
Okay.
courses as anywhere else.
I think, well, aren't some of these more elective, like deep learning, or are we at the point where that's like a core course? Because
Um, like deep learning is one of the electives, so we have like streams, so you can you have different streams and you choose courses from those streams. Like they choose one course from the like system stream, one course from the like application software stream. Like I choose deep learning for the software.
gotcha.
Okay.
So you could maybe, if you wanted to, change up the label. Instead of saying core courses, you could say electives, and I would say mention, you could mention at least operating systems, cloud computing, um, deep learning and applications. Those would be like good things to learn, or
Oh yeah.
good not not good things to learn, good things to list
Mhm.
that you've learned. Programming paradigms, data structures, software engineering. That's all kind of implied by the general coursework.
Absolutely.
Um, and coming from Shenzhen, China to the United States.
Yeah.
Very recently. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to
Yeah.
America. How do you like it?
So far so good.
That's fantastic to hear. I always love hearing people who come from other countries and get to experience America. I'm a very I'm very patriotic.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
different. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
I'm told that Americans are loud. Is that a thing?
Not exactly. I haven't experienced any like loudness issues.
Oh, that's funny. I know I am.
Probably I am like loud myself, so
Well, hey, fit right in. All right, work experience. Dolby. Okay. Some sound stuff. Software engineer intern, February 2023 to April 2023. Implemented Windows SDK and C# with .NET Core framework for generating PC color profile files to provide Dolby Vision support. Impacted greater than 200 PC manufacturers and designers producing over 500,000 laptops annually.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
That is.
yeah.
Implemented role-based access control in the web portal with ASP.NET Core that enabled customers to make customized color profile generation workflows with previously mentioned earlier. Okay. Use file systems and MySQL database for storage.
Typo. This is a typo. This drop the width. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just take off everything from with until the end of the sentence.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I see that you kind of mentioned, let's see, implemented Windows SDK with C# with .NET Core framework for generating PC color profile for Dolby Vision support. Okay. And then we mentioned .NET twice. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. I think that there's some really awesome value adds there. It's just a matter of refining them as per usual. Replaced broken bootstrap styling with CSS, improving customer satisfaction. Majorly, sorry, improved the page, including page refreshing strategy, data fetching strategy, and removed data leaking with jQuery, and implemented two-way communication with Signal IR. Ooh, and added real-time updates on task statuses. Collaborated with on-site engineers, product manager, and UI designers or UX designers to collect customers' complaints and requests to transform customers' complaints and needs into engineering features. Okay, that's really good. Involved in building software releasing life cycles environments, including dev and QA on Windows and Internet Information Services, collaborating with software engineering in tests.
So I'm
Okay.
just gonna open up a terminal because I'm guessing that a lot of this is just difficulty in expressing your what you've done in English. So as we talk through ways to rewrite, I'm just gonna write it out here for you and send this to you after the stream, if that's all right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I think that's gonna be yeah.
So already, what I really like about this first, I guess, position is that you're talking about, exactly what the application was, what the challenge is. Dolby doing vision support. Actually, can you explain a little bit what that is? So, um,
Okay,
what is this?
so for like monitors on the laptop, they need to like color profile like configurations to display colors. And Dolby Vision is just no different from like traditional colors, but they are like better. Like they have different algorithms. And to enable that, we'll have to embed that into the operating system, that is the Windows system. So we
Hmm,
tell the Windows like which pixel to render what color, so that it looks like more bright, and it can like enable the like peak nits, like peak brightness in terms of nits, and to display like HDR videos. And the generation is kind of like using a few Windows existing APIs, and with the Adobe's API. That's like someone else's work, and I combine them to like generate like XML format of color profile, and so that with this color profile, the PC will like display very bright, very like very vibrant colors, and without it, even you open a Dolby Vision format video, it will not support it. It will also there's a logic to display like this is not supported, like that kind of stuff.
hmm, gotcha. Okay. So it's like color accuracy tuning.
Yeah, like
Is that
like color tuning. And for different laptop manufacturers, the parameters of the panel, like the nits, like the brightness, like the color, might be different, and the color profile they take may be different. So we offer a web portal for them to customize their own devices, so they can they can they can run the SDK on the back end and generate the color profile and distribute it to the laptops.
gotcha? Okay, wow. Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, just so I fully understand the domain of the problem, a lot of these screens, the way they're manufactured, there's a lot of variation in how the colors are displayed, right? Like one will be more red or one will be more blue. One panel will have a greater amount of brightness than another. There's a lot of all the panels have to be within a certain tolerance, but there's still a significant amount of like variation. And this
Yeah.
is basically tuning against that sort of variation to make sure that everything looks right.
Yes, yes. We have to test these panels physically. So I read this like SDKs generated color profile so that the laptop could display it, and the engineering in tests just to use like those little devices, put them on screen and read these like pixels and run them for like hours, gather data to validate the update of the color profile. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, it's a lot of good stuff.
Good.
Nate, you have anything initial that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So the first point here, this looks good. I wouldn't change this too much. Maybe I'd make sure to highlight C sharp, and then
Okay.
wouldn't do too much
Um,
more.
I want to touch on the third bullet point real quick. There's stuff I want to say about one and two, but replaced broken bootstrap styling with CSS, improving customer satisfaction, majorly improved the page, including page refreshing strategy, data fetching strategy, and removed data leaking with jQuery. Implemented a two-way communication protocol with Signal IR to add real-time updates on task status. So I like that. I love improving the refresh strategy, improving the data fetching strategy, eliminating bugs,
Mhm.
and implementing Signal IR. All wonderful stuff. But when
Mhm.
you lead with replaced broken bootstrap styling, um, again, it when you have that, it's like, okay, well, the person before you fucked up, right? They did a bad job.
Yeah.
So you came in behind them and you fixed it, but that's not really, you know,
Mhm.
how do I put it? It's not like a huge value add necessarily, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It going behind someone else and fixing their mistakes, it's a pain in the ass. It's real work. I do it all day. um, but in terms of like pitching that, I would just leave that out.
Mhm.
Because it also just not worth saying. You majorly improved the page, including. I would cross out like improve the page, including. You could just say majorly improved the page refreshing and data fetching strategy.
Mhm.
Even say majorly improved the
Mhm.
page data fetching and refresh strategy. Justify it like that, and removed bugs with in jQuery. If you wanted to say that, you probably put that towards the end. You could say, So when you say that you improved the refreshing strategy and data fetching strategy, was that done using Signal IR? Would that be like the primary way that that was improved by implementing that sort of messaging?
Okay, so previously the front end and back end, like the front end sometimes leaks data from the back end, and sometimes the page doesn't refresh. Uh, so maybe the workflow is done and the page just doesn't refresh, and sometimes the so there are like a set of behavior that is uh very non-standard or very not people would expect from a web portal, and SignalR like helps part of it. jQuery helps like the rest. SignalR improves the so SignalR is the system that implements first is like server side event, and if that doesn't support it in the browser, it goes to WebSocket. If that's not supported, it goes to long polling. So I initially tried to wrote something like SignalR myself, but I just found this library, so I just imported and the so they're like so there's like a server sent event from the server. So whenever a workflow is done, it will like changes the UI, and whenever you trigger something, maybe say I add a admin or add the member to a team, and this will also be being displayed real time on the front end. It will not be you have to refresh to see the changes. So that is part of it. And for the jQuery is that sometimes when you delete a record, say possibly the color profiles that you've generated is a record in table sometimes,
Mhm.
and in the MVC framework of the ASP.NET, it sometimes return a very strange route to the browser. The route is like a record database, but because it has to return this to make sure it works. So instead of using like ASP.NET to handle logics like this, I just simply use jQuery because there was a little jQuery in the code, so I systemized the whole database. I like make very clear distinction between the server code and the client code, so that never happens again.
So
Gotcha.
I've suggested a couple of changes here in this document here. So instead of saying replace broken bootstrap styling, it sounds like you're being a little bit negative towards your previous employer, which
Okay.
you wouldn't want to do. So what I would say
Oh.
is refactored website front end using modern CSS and jQuery. It's a little bit more succinct. It's a little bit shorter, and has the main information. And then the part about the two-way communication, real-time update, and data fetching strategy. Put that into another bullet on its own. Leverage Signal IR communication to add real-time updates to site users. So we kind of lose the part about the page refreshing strategy and data fetching strategy. So there may be a way to work that back into these bullet points here, but I think this would improve the readability of the Dolby section of your resume a little bit.
Okay. I think so.
Ye-
Actually, the CSS part is that the company so that's from me talking to the UI designer. So
Okay.
she just said suggested that we should use like consistent styling with the company's like guidelines. So that's not available in Bootstrap. So I just wrote them in CSS.
Okay. So that's an interesting one because you don't want to say I removed Bootstrap and added my own custom standard CSS because that makes it look like you think that you can write things better. So that's why I say utilizing modern CSS and
You
don't mention
probably can
Bootstrap
do
at
better
all.
than Bootstrap in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
mean,
say
yeah, you
that.
absolutely can,
Still,
but it's the idea
yeah.
of you want to show that you're mature as a programmer by reaching for a library for some things and knowing when to do it yourself. So, so the way I say this is utilizing modern CSS and jQuery. It's saying we're not taking out a library and rewriting it ourselves. It's just we're refactoring whatever was there and it doesn't matter that it happened to be Bootstrap or whatever. We're refactoring whatever was there using modern techniques, and I think that's a lot easier way to a lot better way to put it.
Yeah, that sure is. I was at custom. I was like thinking the companies, so they have a set of CSS, so I just have to extend them and implement in a own like digestible way to the project itself. It's not my own like CSS styling.
I see
it's
what
just
you're saying.
headlines. Yeah. So I wasn't like thinking what people will react to, like the broken. I thought just broken just means like they are like heavy extra buggy or anything.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
I want to touch on bullet point number 4 now because I really like it. It is so close to being amazing. You collaborated with on-site engineers, product managers, and UX designers. So product managers would be plural, but product managers and UX designers to collect customers' complaints and requests to transform customers' complaints and needs into engineering features. I love that because it says, here's what I did, right? You collaborated with you, that's very actionable to start with, and you collaborated with them to collect customer complaints and transform them into features. But I would shorten it up. I would say blah 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 UX designers to, instead of saying collect customer complaints and requests to transform customer complaints and needs into engineering features, I would just say to transform customer complaints into, or to collect customer feedback and transform it into engineering features. And so just I'm losing my language here. I can't quite get it right, but yeah, like a lot more concise. There's a lot of waffle words in here, which is something that we've definitely seen on the stream before.
Certainly.
And it's not bad. Everyone waffles. It's just like you're writing and elaborating at the speed of your brain, right? And sometimes you just have to go back and look at it and go like, oh, well, wait a minute. If I put some thought into it, I can make it a bit more concise. In this case, a lot more concise.
Yes.
Let's see. Involved in building software releasing lifecycle environments, including, right. So one of the bright line, like, don't do this rules that I have is never say worked with blank, right? And involved in building software releasing life cycles, that's kind of the same thing where it's like it's you're adding a level of indirection to your involvement, right? You don't want to say that you were involved with something. You want to say what you did.
Yeah,
right?
If you say you're involved, that means were you sitting in the corner of the room while somebody else did the work, or does that mean that you were in charge? Both involved could mean either one. So you want to say be a little bit more specific.
But it's like previously the testing team the control the setting up the environment, but after the project scope changed, the charge like was transferred to me because after a month or two, they trusted me with my engineering skills and they just gave extra job to do. That's one of the
I think there's some audio issues.
Yeah, there's a little trouble hearing
like,
you. You're not coming through properly.
Yeah, it's like every other word.
What about?
Sorry.
What about? Hello?
Yep.
So now?
Speak at length for a little bit.
Yeah. So the problem was that previously the testing team like was in charge of the setting up the environments for development and QA and preview and release. There's like 4 environments. Then the project scope changed, so we have to like migrate some of the services and the database to some other places. And so after a month or two, they started trust my engineering skills, so they let me do that. I migrate the DB, so also the server, and using the IIS, and I also set up different rules. So previously, the rules were kind of like hard coded, so I made them into configurable like environment files with that can work with the .NET Core runtime.
Okay.
So it's like some DevOps job.
Everything you just said right there to us, put that on the resume.
Not that many words.
Not in that many words, but that right there is like magnitudes more specific and awesome and actionable than saying you were involved with such and such.
Okay.
That's like that's the magic of this stream right here. Is now everyone knows our formula. It's like
Yeah.
we ask someone, okay, explain this. They explain it to us. All right, awesome. Clean that up a little bit, put it on the resume. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. It helps. Actually, it actually looks like way more easier than I like spoke to thousands of people before it comes to this shape. I've been like modifying since.
the choppiness
The
is
audio
happening
thing
again.
is messed up again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What about now?
I don't know what could be
Um,
causing that. It's like an intermittent issue every half second that causes your audio to cut out for probably what, quarter of a second.
check the gate that you have on Discord. If you have a static gate, then some of your words might be falling above and some might be falling below.
Oh,
Um,
yes, it's green. So is it okay now?
yeah, it sounds better,
Yeah,
but
that should be.
we'll know when you're keep talking.
Oh, so it was like this way more messier than right now. So right now it's like almost unreadable. But I talked to a few people and the like dozens of reviews. So it's like this version.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Thanks. Thank
Sorry.
you.
No problem.
Uh-huh.
With that said, we want to move on to the second one, Red Hat.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
move on.
sure.
Implemented scripts in Golang based to automate Kubernetes or K8s, APIs that are used in half new features, and in 2 future releases. So I'll take this as a bit of non-native English speaking, but used in half new features. That's like I guess it's half of all new features. That's kind of what I interpret it as. But half new features is like, oh, it's it's like an old feature, but we kind of brushed it up a little bit. We took the 9 and we made it into an 8.
Oh, half of
Maybe
the
there's
new half. Oh, okay, yeah.
it's like you've taken a feature and you've cut it in half. But that's I guess a little bit of a nitpick. Built OpenShift console plugins with React and TypeScript that impacted 2 releases, thus improving the visibility for users of the dynamic plugin feature, which is one of the major updates on the next release. Impacted 2 releases.
The main thing I talk about is that I work on like the star features for OpenShift in the 4.12 and 4.13 release.
Okay.
I would say with OpenShift that instead of saying impacted 2 releases, I would say that built OpenShift console plugins with React and TypeScript, improving the visibility for users of the dynamic plugin feature, shipped in 4.12 and 4.13.
Yeah, that's when you do that. Okay.
Yeah. Developed tests in Cypress for React OpenShift Web Console. Developed BBD scripts in Ruby and Gherkin. For earlier features, test coverage, extended Cypress API in TypeScript for hovering and real clicking. Okay, so that's like adding some real-time interactivity. I guess I'm not too familiar with BBD and Gherkin, but I really like a lot of your bullet points here. I think a lot of them are awesome. It's just the English and the prose that has to be updated a little bit, which is no problem. That comes with iteration. Contributed to OpenShift verification test project, responsible for debugging Jenkins CI and fixing Ruby scripts. Set up AWS networking configuration like DNS record types and role-based access control for setting up integration tests. Okay, so that's doing some permissions and DevOps. I should ask, what is OpenShift?
It's Kubernetes, but with like enterprise level security and with all the plugins that I just wrote, and the operators I just wrote the ship to like enterprise users, and with the IT support of Red Hat.
Mm.
I'm curious. Did you read the Kubernetes operators book?
Yeah, I had that the physical one, but I haven't quite finished it. I read the Red Hat documents on operator lifecycle management.
This one with the crane on the front? It's a crane, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a crane.
Yeah. This is fun. I got this one signed by the author when I went to a developer conference.
Okay. It's a very small book, but
Yeah, it's not very big. There's not a lot to it.
yeah. And it's because it's just like a few like APIs, so like custom resource definition. It's
It's not too bad. You just receive the YAML over an API, you operate on it, you do whatever you need to do, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm noticing a trend here
Mhm.
in some of these enterprise tools, but that's beyond the scope of this review. It means discussion for a later date. That's nothing to do with you. For developer experience, built and deployed a real-time online collaborative editor in React and SQLite. Awesome. Love that. Simple, to the point. Shows the value add, collaborative editing. Yeah, wonderful. And on to, I guess, Nate, there you are. Anything else, Nate? I think I've said.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to say. There's a little bit wrong with the English here. You'd say for setting up integration tests instead of just test. But it's nothing too egregious, and I'm not gonna write the whole thing here, as I have these others. No, this looks good.
Okay.
So let's see. Projects. Ask Abe AI. Build an interactive law answering and document template generation with GPT-4 and RAG on PG Vector, HNSW. No idea what any of that means, but sounds interesting. Built the front-end UI and back-end streaming and querying with React, TypeScript deployed on Vercel. Scraped multiple sites, law data, split, and implemented Neo4j graph structures for better revival. So you want to say split, not splitted. Which I'll just add that to the list. Yeah.
Okay. That was super good.
I'll just copy the whole
And
line.
is this app live, by the way?
Yeah, you can go. I think it's not. I think it's not broken at this point. It broke like in several days ago, but feel free to check it now.
Yeah. So make sure whenever you submit the resume. Yeah, of course. Whenever you submit the resume, make sure it's working before you. If you have the link. So this looks all right. Let's.
You need an open AI key.
You can. So yeah, this is a feature we try to remove. We try to like add the login and add a subscription fee for people. So we are working on that.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, I see. This makes sense. That's kind of interesting.
Should probably have a hero page that displays what the final template generated look like. It will be very detailed, and the right will be all the citations listed. So
maybe I like that you link right to the project. And the UI. There's not a level of indirection. So you click on the link and you get to the application. I'll just keep it all on one page and just explain it here.
Absolutely. Pad Coder built an iPad LeetCode grinding app with LeetCode grinding app. That's funny. With React Native and TypeScript involved with design using Figma. Sold to a startup by my collaborator. Only an NDA compliant version is available online. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So the complete version is not currently available. So I only have a local fork.
I see.
So that directs to the local fork.
So what do you mean by LeetCode grinding app?
Just for doing LeetCode questions.
Okay. Does it actually use the LeetCode questions directly, or does it do LeetCode's like questions?
Okay, so the actual client that which is the LeetCode question used from the LeetCode API.
We're gating again. Sorry. The voice cancellation thing is happening once more.
Oh, sorry. What about now?
Still happening.
Maybe, what about now?
Shh. Sorry, my dog just going. Say something
What about now? Is it
now.
better?
Still happening.
Okay, is it better? What about now? I just changed my microphone.
I would say raise the gate and speak louder.
Okay. What about now?
That's good.
That's good. It sounds like you're yelling a little bit. Maybe if you get closer to the microphone and you can talk a little bit quieter.
Now?
That's
What about now?
pretty good.
Okay. So I wrote a GraphQL client to get the LeetCode question data from LeetCode's itself API.
Okay.
They have the open API, but you just have to figure out how to, because they don't open source the GraphQL schema. You have to figure out.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Maybe I should write that into the bullet points.
That would make sense.
You're good.
Tell people I know GraphQL. It's good.
Yeah. LeetCode front end, leveraging GraphQL to help users practice programming.
I think these are some pretty cool projects too.
It's not
And
part
as
Yeah.
this is like awesome stuff. As far as my feedback would go, I don't really have any other feedback beyond the same theme, right? But I think down here the language is actually pretty tight and is pretty actionable. So yeah. Other than built, scraped, built, implemented, you could change up the language there, but honestly it's not the worst
I'll
thing
change
in
built
the
to
world.
developed.
Okay, developed.
All right. Kanban minimal implemented drag and drop components with Angular CDK and common Angular material components. Implemented the backend with Nest.js and Google Cloud Run. Designed data modeling and complex writes/queries with Firestore. Implemented Google and email auth with Firebase auth. Let's take a look.
Yeah, it's a Fireship tutorial project that I did when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
You can log in to try. Yeah.
And, doxing my Google account.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there you go. Dox my Google account.
It's the same as all your other accounts.
Yeah, I mean,
the demo. There's like a demo part. Like
I see. I understand.
Oh yeah. It's not as intuitive as it.
Oh, this is lack of imagination.
Lack of imagination. How dare you?
Well, you made them different colors, so maybe I'll stop short of that.
No, I like it.
Okay.
As for the resume parts, yeah, this looks good.
Okay.
Skills, programming languages, JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, C++. Yeah, frameworks, React, Angular. This is all pretty succinct. Really good that you have cloud experience as well. Messing with Kubernetes and Docker. A lot of people are looking for that. And yeah, really cool stuff with TensorFlow and PyTorch. Although, wait, hold on. Where was the machine learning stuff? When you say TensorFlow and PyTorch, was that stuff that you did as part of like your coursework?
Yeah, all of them about the courses. So I listed them all in my like websites and the read.cv. It's not really on my resume.
Gotcha. Okay.
I also like these framework for like research assistantship. So at the college.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Personal interests, college basketball team.
Hey, basketball.
Yeah,
Audience, Primagen, TOGG, Fireship.
I heard from Theo that it helps to put his name in a resume. Funny, I'm not sure.
That's funny. The only problem I see with this is it says audience of the Primagen, Theo.gg, Fireship, Jared, etc. In the etc., of course, is where I am. And I think if you just boost me up to Say Jared and Nate. I think that'd be really helpful. I think that'd really help your job opportunities.
Okay, Jared and Nate. Okay, and Moosieus.
Oh no, don't mention me.
No. Moosieus isn't. He's not an online tech influencer like us.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I wield no influence. I would say this last bullet point, you could take it or leave it.
Maybe take it. Maybe delete it. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah. I'll leave it up to you. That's a personal taste.
Okay.
In terms of programming languages, I mean, I think from reading it, it's pretty straightforward that like you're familiar with JavaScript and TypeScript for. Oh, 1 second.
Welcome Moosieus' dad to the stream. Yeah, so what he was gonna say is all this stuff is all right. Your professional software list might be a little bit too long. The personal interest, I liked having the basketball team in there. The audience of anyone really doesn't add too much. It doesn't show that you have like taken active interest in anything. So I'd probably just get rid of that and maybe add in some other stuff. If you have any interesting hobbies outside of, do you still play basketball at all?
No. I play basketball for high school team and college team, and no, I don't play now.
Okay, well, if you have any other like current hobbies, I would put those in there. Being in the audience of some tech YouTubers, I think it'd be kind of a funny thing if somebody was familiar and this resume came across their desk. But this would be lost on most hiring managers. I think most hiring managers don't know who Prime and Theo are. I mean, honestly, the hiring managers really only know who I am with my 5 viewers.
Okay, yeah, that explains it.
So either way, you could add more
Personal interest.
Yeah, add more personal interest, or just remove the personal interest section.
Okay. Basketball seems to be the only interest that I actually make out of something out of it. So maybe just take it out. So I don't have anything else to put into it.
All right. Well, then I'd probably just get rid of the personal interest section entirely. It's not like it's a huge deal.
Okay, wait. I actually produce some like TikTok videos, and they produce like slides for like schools, like those dance and singing, like so there's like big events. So I made slides and TikTok videos. So yeah, maybe I can put that in.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that sounds interesting.
Okay. Most there's one thing I want to ask that Moosieus just mentioned. So that's the trend that you noticed for like enterprise softwares. What have they become?
I've noticed that a lot of places just ask for they ask for cloud experience, which is a term that I heard like one interviewer mention, and I was like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? And they were like, well, cloud experience, and I was like, okay, it turns out what people mean by that is basically, have you worked with DevOps and have you worked with Kubernetes and Docker, right? That's one remark. So having that on a resume, I think is good. That's something that at my job I have not used a lot because it's not really been like the right choice technically for a lot of the projects I work on. But yeah, it's really good to have. It's hard to like find an excuse to use Kubernetes sometimes. In terms of the broader trend, I think I mentioned earlier. I recently read I Heart Logs, which is written by the guy who made Apache Kafka, and the book it's only like 60 something pages, and it's really good. It's very concise, talks about a lot of what are in my opinion high impact ideas. Talks about like how logs are good for stream processing and for coordinating distributed systems. I quite like it. And then Nate, you talked about what's the book called with the crane on it that talks about Kubernetes?
Oh yeah, the Kubernetes operators book.
Okay, and how many pages was that? You said?
It's probably 100, maybe less.
100 pages, maybe less. Okay. So I'm noticing a trend here that there's these awesome tools that people have.
129.
129. Right.
Jason Dobies.
It's like these people make this awesome software that has a really good ethos behind it, that's really useful, great for enterprise software. And then I feel like a lot of enterprise places just mess it up, right? They're like, oh, well, the Kubernetes and the Kafka people are really successful, and if you're a serious business, you need to have these things. And then they implement them without actually understanding like how they work or how to build like a broader ecosystem around them. And it's like, I just like read the books.
Yeah,
Just
and then
read.
they try to implement it, and then they pay some company to they pay some company $1 zillion to tell them how to do it, and that company is okay, but they've already done enough that that company can't really help them, and then it's a whole thing.
Okay, I don't know. That happens a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds like a lot of like experience with the real companies that I don't have too much.
it's fun.
Okay.
Read books. That is the official stance of
Yes, the official
this,
stance is read books.
Okay, thank you. So like with all these suggestions, so the thing is, I have got like one interview out of like 100 more jobs I applied throughout like June, July, August, and September, and I also went to conferences like Tapia and the TechCrunch and the AI Engineer Summit, but so only Tapia's for like careers, but I got 0 interviews there. So
Read
what
books.
read books?
If you can't see, I'm holding up a stack of
Oh.
books.
Oh shit.
Oh,
40-pound stack of books.
Jeez.
you had the actually okay.
Here's all my books. It's
Okay.
Yeah, I got more on my Kindle that I'm not showing.
So like
sorry, you were talking about getting interviews and stuff, right?
yep. And I think Mhm.
I don't know what to say other than I think that your experience, your resume is outstanding. I really like what you've built, the technologies that you've used.
Mhm.
And you said you have one interview. Is that upcoming or
In the next week, and I also have an interview from TikTok, but they said they can't like schedule it now because they have no headcounts, so they have to schedule it in December. So I just count it as not an interview.
okay, that's fair. Um, yeah, the job market, especially for new entrants, is kind of just difficult right now. Um, as far as I can tell. Um, I don't think that you're necessarily doing anything wrong. You know, I guess
Just
the usual tips apply. Just be humble, be communicative. But I think you're both those things. Yeah.
No, I mean the job market is really tough right now. Don't be discouraged if you don't get a job immediately.
Okay.
You may, if you may have had friends that got jobs last year and the year before really easily. The job market's changed. There's not really much you can do about that. So just keep with it. Keep putting out more. Just keep sending your resume out. If you're not on LinkedIn, definitely get on LinkedIn and pay for the premium LinkedIn subscription.
already paid.
Yep, perfect. So eventually someone will reach out to you, or you'll find a position and you'll get an interview. It's really tough out there right now.
Okay. So I've like done a few like online assessments. So like half of them are like 100 scores, and half like have some test cases not running. So but out of the half like 5 or 4 like 100 score online assessments, I only get like one interview from TikTok. So I was like thinking maybe something goes wrong with my resume, so they are not reaching out to me even if I got a like perfect score.
I mean, I can't imagine that there's anything that's too bad with the resume. The resume looks all right to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than just cleaning up the language.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything you're doing egregiously wrong.
Okay.
That needs correcting. It's a tough job market.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like a lot of people suggest me to do like open source contribution and write technical blogs to get more visibility and to demonstrate that you so other things I have, like many of them are not open source. So if I do
Mhm.
open source, people will able to see my PR. And I
Mhm.
heard that so someone told me that if I like contribute now to AutoGPT, the large repo, I do like 10 or 15 PRs, I'll be one of the top contributors. So that's really an effective way to stand out among like other applicants. Is that true to you guys?
I think the open source thing is a little bit overblown. I think you definitely want to have some open source contributions, and I think open source contributions are good not only for your career but for the world at large. If you're improving software that people use, it's really
Yeah.
helpful. Though I haven't seen people look at open source contributions with very much scrutiny in job interviews. So it's just having done it some will help you out. But I think right now, just to work on just to practice new techniques and new languages and gain a little bit of experience while you're not working, I would still recommend doing open source.
Okay, thank you. That's fair. What about
And
like technical blogs? Do people actually read them? I actually doubt it.
No, a lot of times.
Okay, so of the projects I did, like the Kanban minimal, so only my recruiter from Red Hat like actually opened up and signed in and played around with it. So I can see from the like database. So like no, I submitted like for like 400 resumes before I got a job at Red Hat, and nobody ever bothered to like look at my project. So I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time it's the quality of the company is going to determine the scrutiny that you get on your resume. So like a higher quality company is going to be looking at it and really reading it and looking through your projects. And a lot of times, if a company automatically rejects your resume through some automated system or something, or if the hiring manager never goes to your GitHub, never looks at these other things, a lot of times that's a sign that that's a company you probably don't want to work for.
Oh yeah, probably yeah, sure.
So you may have dodged the bullet 400 times.
Okay.
it really varies. No two companies are exactly the same. I've talked to people who are like actively looking for open source contributions.
Mhm.
I personally believe that if someone has made a series of high impact open source contributions, I personally have seen that that is a good predictor of success for someone's career, and just their general aptitude at programming.
Mhm.
I've also talked to other recruiters who ask me what's open source. So I'm like, okay, it really runs the full spectrum, so to
Oh.
speak. Um, I think it's good though because it keeps you sharp, and one of the challenges too with contributing to open source is that you to make a meaningful, high impact contribution to really make stuff that people use, you have to get into a repo. You have to start reading, understanding what's going on. There's that kind of commits, and then there's like, oh, I fixed a typo, right? Which I would classify as like low impact commits, where it's like, okay, you really don't have to understand the project. You know, all you have to do is like fix a piece of documentation or run a formatter on a file.
Mhm.
Um, but I think yeah, if in my book, obviously I'm a developer, but
Mhm.
if you have like open source work, I think that it's worth a lot. I'm doing a lot of open source work right now as well because I want to be working with a certain programming language that I haven't worked with in a professional capacity. So I'm trying to get some commits out there to kind of show some social proof,
Wait a second.
so to speak.
What open source programming language would this be?
Yeah.
Elixir.
Oh no, Elixir. You know
Oh,
what? I'm taking away your point.
Okay.
yeah. Only if there was a wonderful language for working with low-level code at a high level, and could also integrate it.
Okay.
You mean the one that's compiled and has a borrow checker? Yeah, that's a great language.
Oh dear, look at my poor 0 points.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
sorry.
well.
Actually, I'm not sorry. Anyway, do you
I
have any
made
more
the
questions?
split here. The
Uh,
tiniest tear in the world.
I'm playing the tiniest violin.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for
you.
coming on. Thanks for being a good sport. I appreciate it. Before you go, we got to give you your final, or I got to give you your final review, and I'm gonna go
Okay.
with The Basement of Heaven.
Okay.
Okay, we're
So you're not on the
Thank
main
you.
floor, but still, you're there. And this is not too bad. This is good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sent you the improvements that I think could help with the English, and yeah, I like it. And
Okay. How
good
to
luck
like?
on the job search.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nate. But how to get to the main floor of heaven? If you don't mind. Like, maybe put Google on this, or like be like the basement of heaven.
implement the corrections.
Yeah, implement the corrections. That'll get you probably under the main floor of heaven. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you. That's not hard. Okay. Thank you so much, Nate.
Yep.
Thank you, Moosieus. Thank you, Nate. Thank you for painting the picture and how they work. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Unceremoniously back to
Unceremoniously dropped back into the Hangout chat. Well, we've been going for 2.5 hours, man. This is a marathon session.
Yeah.
I was doing jumping jacks during the break just to make sure I stayed awake.
I've got one more request here.
One more request.
How are you feeling?
Oh, I got no problem. I can keep going.
You can keep going?
Yeah, sure. Is this request going
Well-
to take more than 3.5 minutes to get in here, though? Because I don't see the resume in the channel.
All right, hang on. Yeah, this is from Sammy, who has joined the server, but has not added their resume in the resume review channel.
Ooh, well, they're going to have to figure that out pretty quickly, or else I'm going to get bored and leave.
Yeah. Let's see. Sammy, can you drop your resume in here in the next 2 minutes? If not, next week. Smiley face to communicate my positive intentions. They are appearing offline at this point. Let's see. If they ain't around, we will just have to call it. Hey, one more person for the queue, right?
Yeah, one more person for the queue.
And I am not seeing them.
My mouse is hovering over the stream ending card.
I'm looking at Twitch chat right now.
My finger is getting real itchy. Like to click that button, scratch that itch.
In the meantime, here's Streamception. Here's
Ah!
Yeah, this is what I do for having lack of 2 monitors.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, calling it. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a good sport to those who had their resume reviewed. Moosieus, you're not on screen. You have anything else to say?
Nope. I'll have something to plug next time.
All right, fantastic. I'll see you next time.
Have a good evening, y'all.